Start video. Hey, good morning. This is Mark Giles. Welcome to the Home Buyer Seminar. Glad you could make it. This is interactive, so please feel free to ask any questions anytime you have them. Just chime in. All right. It's probably going to be a small group, so that's how we like it, nice and intimate, so we can get our questions answered and take care of what we need to take care of. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. Share. Here we go. All right, welcome to the Home Buyer Seminar. Once again, this is brought to you by the Center for Home Ownership and Community Enterprise. And every week we're going to be doing these home buyer seminars to bring you the knowledge and information you need to learn. Right now we're covering all of the basics of home ownership, and we're going to create all of these videos and put them in one place so you can access them with our membership, free membership to our membership site. And we'll be sending you the link for that soon. All right, so it's the Center for Home Ownership and Community Enterprise. That's the entity that is a non-for-profit, and that is what's sponsoring this seminar today. And so our goal is to improve our community by teaching you about real estate, mortgage finance, and business ownership, and to provide you with the information and the actionable steps that you can implement right now to get your goals achieved. And ideally, we want you to own your power, own your self-worth, and live a dignified, independent lifestyle. And of course, earn and generate lots of cash flow for you and your family. All right, so my name is Mark Giles. I'm your host. I educate home buyers, investors, and real estate owners, business owners, and real estate owners, right? People who want to sell homes, buy homes. And I've been a licensed mortgage originator since 1999. Helping people in New York, Connecticut, New Jersey to finance homes. We provide you the mortgage loans that you need to get your homes, and also a licensed realtor. All right, so, and also a licensed insurance agent as well. So I got a lot of knowledge, a lot of information. I'm here to impart it all for you. So I spend a lot of my time answering a lot of questions every day for people. So I figured I'd make these every week in behalf of the Center for Home Ownership. So I'm originally from the Bronx, currently living in Westchester. Licensed, like I said, as a realtor, mortgage loan originator, and life is good. And we're bringing you all the information and knowledge you need to know. And once again, my personal passion is to educate home buyers about the home buying process, as well as investors. If you want to buy an investment property, generate income, cash flow, whether it's in New York, anywhere in the 50 states, there's ways to do that. And we're going to be making videos on that just to provide you that knowledge as well. Even setting up corporations and all of that good stuff in order to manage your taxes and all of that good stuff there. So today we're going to talk about renting versus owning. Should you rent or should you own? There's a lot of myths out here about renting versus owning. A lot of people think that they should continue renting, and some people want to own a house, but they're on the fence. They don't know what to do. So we're going to uncover some of the myths today and talk about what it means to you. All right, so give you food for thought so that you can make a proper decision for you and your family. So let's get started, dive right in. Oh, before we start, if you have any questions, you can either hit the chat button or just chime right in, and I'll be more than happy to answer your question. And also, we're going to do a couple of case studies at the end, meaning I'm going to show you what's happening in the market, right? Affordability, what can I get? How much is it going to cost me? How much money do I need to get that property? So hold tight. We're going to cover that as well. So let's dive right in. Myth number one. Okay, the myth is that it's cheaper to rent than to buy. And that is a myth. And I'm going to tell you why. Oh, we're having a technical situation with the camera. Let me fix that 1 second. Okay, the camera's a little finicky today, wants to cut off when it wants to cut off. But anyway, owning a home is, in the long term, more beneficial to you. It's cheaper, in my opinion, and I'm going to show you why I say that. All right, so in this scenario, well, if you're renting a 1-bedroom apartment in New York, you're not going to get it for $900, but we gave you an extreme example here of the cost to rent. Even if you're paying $900 a month, you get nothing for your money other than 1 month lodging for every $900 you pay. You're paying somebody else's mortgage, so you are paying a mortgage, it's just not yours. And also you're helping someone else build their wealth, okay? There's nothing wrong with that, but we all deserve to build our own wealth. So we're all heading toward that, and we want to do that. So that's why we're here. And then another thing is you'll never build wealth or security by renting. When you're owning a house, you can build your equity in your own home, and eventually you can pay off your house and have an asset that you don't owe any money on. And you also receive tax breaks for owning your own home. So I'm going to dig into that a little deeper. I'm going to show you a better example of that. And another says myth number 2 is that rent payments don't rise as fast as house payments. I'm here to tell you that rent payments do rise. They rise at about the cost of inflation. And right now, cost of inflation has been about 2% a year. So if you're renting, and I'm sure everybody anybody who's watching this, if you're paying rent, you know your rent's been going up. And or if it's not been, it will be. You'll be getting notice from your landlord because he has to deal with his, we're all dealing with the same increase in expenses. So we all want to increase our income. And the owner of the house has the privilege to raise your rent or the apartment building that you're living in. Okay, so here's a fine example. Okay, so if you stay in your house for 10 years, and according to this, right, this is dealing with the increase in we're going with 2% increase of inflation every year, right? So it's taking that into account. So if your monthly rent is $2,700 a month in the beginning, the cost of increase over time, and you average it out over 10 years, you would have been paying about $3,500 a month, all right, at the end of 10 years. If you went backwards and added it up, that would have been your average payment. So the total cost of renting over 10 years would have cost you $371,000. So what that means is every month that you're paying your rent, after 10 years, you will have given your landlord $371,000. So by owning a house, you can reallocate your money. So we had a previous video on how to save money to buy a house. And in there, we were explaining how you have to watch who you're giving your money to. So watch that video. It gets more in deep into that. But when you're trying to figure out where your money's going, you can monitor it and you can look at the last, whether it's 2 years, through 5 years, or 10 years that you've been paying rent, and count it up. See how much you've given your landlord, add it up. All right, now the cost difference, now look at the blue side here of buying a house over time. If you were to have purchased a target home price here is $500,000 with a 3.5% down payment, $17,500. It's doing some tax calculations, so we have a marital status of single. So over time, 10 years, you would have paid $3,362 per month. But over that time, you would have parted with $197,000 versus $371,000. Big difference. So what we're suggesting is that it's cheaper to own a house in the long run than it is to buy. Okay. Now, I'm sorry, it's cheaper to own a house than to rent. That's what we're suggesting here. Okay. Now, there are other benefits that you'll also receive from owning a house. Another myth is that you have to have a perfect credit score to buy a house. That's a myth. We're helping people buy homes with credit scores as low as 580, right? And sometimes lower than that. Nobody's credit is always perfect. There are circumstances that happen in life that cause your credit score to fluctuate. And so while that's happening to all of us, I got to fix this camera again. This camera is not happy. I don't understand why today it's doing that. Just a little nudge. All right, so perfect credit score is not needed to buy a house. You can have a score. We're not suggesting that we are suggesting that you increase your credit score. Do what you got to do to increase it. You should always be heading in an upwardly direction, but perfect credit is not a necessity. We help a lot of people who have credit scores below 600. All right. And we also teach you, we're going to be doing a video on that, on what you need to do to your credit to increase your score. In fact, we did one video on that already. So you might want to check that one out. And we'll be providing more information about that. In fact, we're going to be bringing an expert witness, a guy who actually fixes credit scores, onto our weekly podcast here. So next one is myth number 4. This is a big one. And we talked about this in our video on how to save money for a down payment, how to save money to buy a house. The myth is that you have to put down 20% to buy a house. You don't. All right. There's plenty of loan programs where you can put down as little as 3% to purchase a home. So what does that look like? Here's an example. So on a $500,000 house, we often feel that we have to put down 20%, which would be $100,000. And then even on a $300,000 house, you're thinking you might have to save $60,000. Well, that's a myth. You don't have to do that, because there are plenty of loan programs that we provided by all lenders, that you can put down as little as 3% down. So a $300,000 house, you can get in there with as little as $9,000. That's excellent. And then you have $500,000, little as $15,000. So there's no need for you to put it off if you don't have to. We do want to save. We do want to increase our credit score. Yes, we do. But there's no need to believe these myths that we can't do it. All right. I can meet a lot of people. Sometimes they're making great incomes. They think their credit is horrible. It's not horrible. We run the credit. It's a lot better than they thought it was. And voila, 3 months later, they're moving in their house. Got plenty of examples. Here's some nice folks who we helped recently, who were very happy with the service we provided, and they got their home. All right. So don't believe in all of these myths. Okay. There's no cost to sit down and discuss with myself or any real estate professional, mortgage person. We all are here to answer questions and provide, and there's no such thing as a dumb question. So we're here for that. So I'm going to show you some case studies of what's going on in the market today, give you an idea of what's possible. Now, these are all what we work with customers who are first-time home buyers. Next week, we're going to start doing some investment properties, and these properties are in different areas. So this house here is in Bridgeport, Connecticut. This one, purchase price was $329,000. And this house, as you can see, nice little swimming pool in the back, looks like an above ground. Kitchen looks fully renovated, looks really nice. And this is a right now kind of thing. We're in April of 2021. And these types of houses are selling about $329,000 in Bridgeport. This required $11,515 down. If you look at the very bottom with the yellow final monthly payment, it's $2,190 was the final payment to own this house, where the closing costs were approximately $83.75. So if you take the down payment and you add the closing cost to that, the total cash to close was right under $20,000, about $19,890. That's down payment and closing costs. 20 grand, $2,190 a month. Now, let's say you're living in the city. This house here this is a Google map. All right. I just want to point out also, these results are not always exact. They're not typical, but this is what we're seeing. I'm just giving you a snapshot of what we're seeing in the marketplace today. People are buying these homes, and these are the types of deals they're getting. Oh, and this particular house here, this customer was required to earn about $6,500 a month. And the income on that would be about $75,000 a year. And if you're making $75,000 a year, you can actually, well, let's say you're not making $75,000 a year and you are willing to work with your spouse, family member, sibling, mom, dad, uncle, aunt, they can co-sign. Hold on a second, let me fix this camera. Hopefully this will be the last time. Oh, yes, technology is wonderful when it works. Anyway, this house here, as we said, Bridgeport, Connecticut. If you're making $75,000, maybe you're not, right? Let's say you have one person who's working at Starbucks or, Apple Computers making $35,000 a year. Another person is working at Home Depot making another $35,000 a year. That's $70,000. Combined income could afford to buy a house like this. right? So now, if you're living in the 5 boroughs, it's about an hour and 8 minutes. This is according to Google Maps, right? So what we did is we went from the Bronx right down here, and we mapped it out. So there's 2 routes. One would be an hour and a half. So it's about 50 miles from the city. Next, case study number 2. This one is in New York. This one, now if you'll notice at the very bottom, okay, so let's start at the top. The purchase price is $338,000, kind of close to the previous one. The only difference is this one is in New York State. New York State is a little more expensive to buy a house than in Connecticut. Now the down payment can always be the same. Down payment is $11,848, which is 3.5%. Now remember, I said we can go even lower than 3.5. We can do as little as 3% down. Most lenders should be able to do that. So we broke out the principal and interest, the taxes, the insurance. These are the fees included in the final monthly payment. So to live in this house would be $2,617.99. If you'll notice, it's a little more expensive. And the reason is because of their property tax. In this scenario, the property tax was $845 a month. So every house has an annual property tax. In this scenario, it was $845 a month. So now, the total cash to close and the closing cost to purchase this house is $24,000. So if you have $24,000, you could be in the market to buy a house in Middletown, New York. Now, where is Middletown, New York? It's upstate New York. It takes about an hour to get there. Well, let's see. Let's look at the map. Well, about an hour and 27 minutes, hour and a half. So there are people who are driving, and we're selling a lot of houses and financing a lot of houses up in those areas. And a lot of people are leaving Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens to go up in these areas. And it's interesting because there's a lot of people who commute every day from these areas and they carpool. So we've been doing a lot of business up there with people who are leaving the city. And once again, that's $2,600 was the final payment on this house because of the property taxes. It's a big difference. One more case study before we go. This one is in the Bronx. This house is on the market right now. Now, this is April 2021. And this house is in the Bronx, 1-family house. If you'll notice, it's a smaller house. And it's not a brand new kitchen. It's a lived-in house. Somebody's selling it. And the final payment on this house to stay in the Bronx would be $2,700. And if you'll notice, the cash out of pocket is a little higher than it was in Middletown. And this is why people are leaving the 5 boroughs to go to Middletown. Now this house here, if you notice in the top photo, it's attached on both sides, which is fine. It's a lovely house. You got a garage here. Well, not a garage, there's no garage in this one, but there's a parking. You can park here and it has a basement, walkout basement. Let's step back. This house is in Middletown. Wait a minute. Skipped. Go back to Middletown. Now, if you notice, this house is probably twice the size of the house in the Bronx, right? And the kitchen is brand new. And as you can see, the floors and everything is shellacked and nice. And the cost of the house is $338, and the monthly payment is $26.17. And you got a lot of yard space. Looks like a 2-car garage. So you're getting a lot more for your money. The only difference is you got to drive, like an hour and a half to get there. And the same with the Connecticut. You get a lot more money, a lot more house for your money in these areas. Where this one does have a backyard. It's a more urban setting. It's in the Bronx, and the price is about $100,000 more. But the final payment on this house is going to be $27,000. Now you might say, Mark, why is the monthly payment not like way higher? Because once again, look at the property taxes on the second line here. It's only $400 a month. 1 second, last time, I hope I have to fix this camera. We're gonna have to edit that out. Okay, so on this one, the property tax is only $400 a month, right? So property taxes are much lower than they were in Middletown. In Middletown, the taxes were $845 a month. So that payment is what makes the difference. You're paying $845 a month for the property taxes. Now, what's included in the property taxes are the, you have your garbage disposal, they're picking up the trash, They are the water and sewer, things like that. Oh, and in Middletown, the property taxes also include the school system. In New York City, the property taxes don't pay for the school system. They are, the school system in New York City gets its money directly from the state of New York. So in these areas outside of New York, you are paying for the school. So there's a school tax. So because the taxes are cheaper in the 5 boroughs, your payment is kind of the same. It's about $100 more, $2,770. But the cash to close at the bottom is $35,000, which is a lot higher than Middletown. So I think that's it for today, but let's recap real quick. Renting is cheaper than buying a home. That's a myth, right? Now, you might say renting is cheaper now because I'm going to pay the amount to get in and the amount to pay every month is a little lower right now, but long-term renting is not cheaper than buying a home. So we busted that myth. Rent payments don't rise as fast as house payments. That is a myth also. Rent payments do rise with the cost of inflation. The cost of living constantly is rising. And it's our job to do the things to stay up ahead of the cost of inflation. Third one is you have to have a perfect credit score to buy a house. That is not true, right? Well, there's no such thing as a perfect credit score. However, you can buy a house with credit issues. Number 4, you have to put down a 20% down payment. You do not have to put down 20%. That is a myth. Plenty of loan programs will allow you to put down less. And like I said, I've been doing mortgages for over 20 years now. And we got all of the answers. That's why we're making these videos, to give you the answers in advance so we can help you achieve your goal of home ownership. And we want to uplift the whole community, because when you succeed, we all succeed. So I need you to succeed. I need you to do well and live an independent, dignified lifestyle and achieve the goals that you want to achieve financially and otherwise. So please, if you have anybody, friends, family, co-workers that need more information about buying a house, please refer them to me. We are going to be doing this every week, and you can invite them to our future video or podcast. So if you have any questions right now, this is the perfect time. Otherwise, we'll catch you next week. All right. Next Thursday, we'll be having another podcast. And if you have any ideas or anything that you would like to learn about or understand, please text me, email me. I'd be more than happy to engage and share more information. All right. Once again, refer your friends, family, coworkers, church members. We're always here to help you out. Thank you very much. Okay. Talk to you next week.